Hi everyone, welcome to round number 3 of the APRL GT3 Pro-Am Series. Today's race is on Autopolis, 28 laps, no mandatory tyres, and for this one it's starting in the afternoon. It does shift to night at the end of the race, and there is the chance of rain midway through the race, so the strategy for this one had a little bit more practice than last week. Last week's race was a disaster, so needed to actually put in some laps and play out the different strategies and think about the most optimal tyre composition because last week's race didn't work. So for this one, I spent a bit of time practicing, and as you can see by the side of my car, I've joined a team. I can't do it while I'm paused, but I've joined a team called NRG. For this one, I wasn't assigned into a sub-team because each team has 3 drivers and the whole of NRG was full. So for this race, I've just run the generic NRG racing stickers, but for the next race, not the next race, a few races down, I get assigned into a sub-team called NRG Blast. But for this one, just running the generic livery. So 28 laps. I did a bit of practice with the team, so I can run through the order. First place is on qualifying's Badge. He's one of the other NRG members. Wealth of knowledge on this guy, so quite valuable in practice. And we did quite a few laps on this track. Second place is Bardo. Same deal in NRG. Didn't do a ton of practice with Bardo, but he does sort of join in on my practice every now and then throughout the season. Third place is Gwimbly or Dank. He's another one that's practiced with us quite a bit. He's the guy that actually got me into NRG. If you remember from the Kyoto race, I cut him off right at the end of the race, unintentional, but ended up apologising for it because I felt like I'd moved a bit late and got chatting, and then that's how I joined NRG. So all credit to him. Fourth place is Josh. Fifth place is Pitmaster. Sixth is V-Man. As I mentioned, he does stream these races for the full grid coverage. So if you want to see everyone's sort of race and how it plays out for everybody else, go watch his streams. Seventh is Specs. I do have a pretty good battle with him later in the race. Eighth is Bob. Ninth is Speedy. He's another NRG driver. 10th is myself. 11th is Angus. 12th is Atlantis. And last is Tank Neo. I believe he was in the hunt for the title at this point. A very consistently fast driver, so one to watch throughout the season. Starting in 10th place, had a bit of a rough qualifying. Didn't make any big mistake, just had a overall slow lap, so had to climb back from 10th, which was always a challenge, but yeah, did what I could. As I said, did a bit of practice throughout the early part of the week just to get some strategy together. So in doing all that, worked out it was best to start on mediums. I don't know what else everybody else started on. Yeah, the whole grid's on mediums. So we worked out mediums would get you almost to the rain window. If you are a really smooth and conservative driver, you could make it probably to the rain system, but it wasn't always guaranteed. In testing we did, it didn't always rain, so the gamble wasn't really ideal. So you'll see later in the race that I do pit early just to swap over to another set of mediums before the rain comes in. For this one I'll do a bit more commentary and a bit more cutting of the sort of mundane parts of the race and just only highlight the actual action. So yeah, we'll get going. Starting in 10th on the mediums. Idea was just to keep it clean for the very first part of the race. Do it in third person, so it's got a good view. Just wanted to keep it clean, not make any overtakes. Try and just stay out of trouble in the first lap. It's always a bit tricky in the first lap, not to get into any carnage. The Pro-Ams do quite well actually at keeping the races clean. Not really much going on, but here I braked a little bit late. Speedy slowed up early just to try and avoid the traffic, and I moved to avoid him, but he let me through. See, up into 9th, first few corners, looking to make the same moves going forward. But in general, the opening laps are always pretty boring. You're just trying to keep out of trouble, keep it clean, settle into the race, because it is a long race, 28 laps, about 50 minutes. Not ideal to get into trouble in the first laps and get damage. Something I did mention in the last few races is that there is heavy damage in these races, so if you do pick up damage, you have to go pit to repair it. It does not repair by itself, so a lot of risk in trying to make moves. So that's why I think a lot of people do try to keep it clean and not go for any stupid moves, but it does happen. People do decide they want to get into some shenanigans and cause a bit of damage on the way. But first lap, nothing too eventful, and behind V-Man. I did notice there's a couple of corners where I was a little faster than him, but then when I got to the straight, he would just pull away. I think that RCZ is quite quick in straights, but does seem to struggle a bit on the mid to high speed corners. So I think I knew I had to beat him in the middle part of the track. Just here, almost collecting the back of him, braked a little bit late, and just going back. I don't think there was contact made, but I think I just thought there might have been when I was in the race. So I gave the position back to him. Yeah, no contact made, but I did think, based on the movement of his car, that I did cause contact, so I gave the position back. Didn't want to do any, gain any positions off of punting someone off. So a bit of a good battle here with V-Man. Trying to just figure out where he's slow, trying to make him make a mistake by just showing myself in his mirrors, getting all up in the back of him, but not trying to make any contact with him. So coming to the hairpin, it's really difficult to pass here. You've really got to stick to the inside line, or you just get no distraction out of the corner. So I had to tuck him behind us a bit of time to him there. It wasn't a great place to put my car, but keeping, just trying to just put the pressure on. I knew Speedy was behind me, so didn't want to risk making a mistake with us two. So I didn't want to go for any big moves that would slow us down, but also didn't want to concede time, just so in case the pack behind you would pick us up. So just trying to find more time, find a move. I think at this point I did realise that in the very heavy braking corners, I did have a bit of pace advantage on them, so I felt like the end of the straight was quite a good opportunity for me to pass, and there was a couple others throughout the race, but up here was always the best place to make a move. It's heavy braking, you just outbrake someone else. That's exactly what I do. Brake exactly where I'm meant to. He ended off a bit early, slowed behind, and I made the move up to 8th. So pretty happy with that move. Didn't make any contact. He gave me the space, gave me the respect with that one, so it all worked out pretty well for us. So just moving forward to lap 6, just pulled a gap on V-Man. He's wasn't as quick around the track. I think that car struggled a little bit on this track, so managed to pull away and catch up to Specs. Specs has also been dropped by Bob in front of him, so just trying to set some consistent laps, as you can see on the right side, 48.3, 48.3, 48.1, so getting consistent, getting faster, just settling into the race. The tyres are a little bit worn at this point, and just there I make a little bit of contact with them. Brake a little bit too late, hit the back of him. Luckily no damage for the both of us. Worked out well, but that could have ended pretty badly for both of us. It was just a mistake on my part, braking a little bit too late. Not expecting him to slow up so much, but we both got away with it. So jumping forward to lap 9, just been sitting behind Specs, trying to catch the back of him, trying to see where he's slow, where I can make the speed up. I noticed he got a pretty poor run out of the turn, so I thought I could maybe make a move going up into the hairpin up here. Didn't really work. He braked quite late. I braked a little bit early just to not try not to overrun the corner. It is quite easy when you're braking especially braking off the line to overshoot it. You've got to really be on point, braking on the inside line, and unfortunately I just braked a little bit too late, a little bit too early, so moved in stick there, slotted back in behind him. Yeah, poor run around this corner, so I was just trying to stick in his mirrors, just trying to set some really consistently good laps, trying to make sure that, you know, I wasn't making any mistakes. Yeah, again, same corner. I don't know whether I was just braking too late or if he was braking really, really early and slowing up too much, but I just always seemed to catch the back of him, and luckily no damage caused by this. Wasn't trying to dive bomb or anything, I just braked where I always brake, and he braked obviously where he brakes, and those don't align. So again, luckily no damage for both of us, but I do lose a bit of time just giving the space back to him. Luckily V-Man's got car back, so no moves to be made. It's right now just me and Specs, we're just having our own battle. I did feel at this point I was quicker than him overall on the lap. We go through what his laps. So he's got 48.6, 48.6, 48.9, 49.5, 48.4, 7, 9, and 1. So last lap was 4 tenths quicker, but I do lose a bit of time in one of the laps, so I'm a lot quicker. I wasn't going for a dive bomb there. Other instance of me just taking it behind him. But I just noticed I was quicker, but I couldn't make a move on him. So this is something that happens throughout the season. He's a really, really good driver at just being consistent, even under pressure. And I'd get stuck behind him a couple of times in the season, and I just couldn't make the move. I found it really difficult. So, yeah, sitting in behind him, try not to make any stupid moves. Still a little far back for this boot to stick, so slowing in behind him there. Jumping forward to the end of lap 11, I got a really good run out of here compared to him. Plus I've got the slip, so just felt like at this point I was quite close to him. I did think I could make the move going up into this corner. Had a really good run, so I went for the inside line, and unfortunately braked turning, braked with an angle into the apex, so the door was closing in on me and I just couldn't move anywhere, so made a bit of contact, and as it happened with V-Man, I just left the space for him to redress and not taking advantage of that move. After this, I did notice Tank was right up behind me. He'd come from nowhere, back of the pack, and now he was right up behind me, so until that move I didn't notice how close he was, and then I realised he was right behind me, so my duel with Specs was over at this point. I just had to make sure that I wasn't making mistakes, and I had to be consistent. I knew my days were numbered unless I could get in front of Specs, so the pressure was on to find a move on Specs, but also not let Tank get past me. Just jumping forward a couple of corners, and this happened a lot where he would brake like this and I'd take the inside line. Yeah, it didn't really work that time because there was not really space to overtake there, but it was just it was a corner where I didn't know whether he was taking the proper line or if I was just taking an improper line, but slowed us both down and allowed Tank the space on the side to go up on the inside, leaving me on the inside there, which is really hard to stick it in there, so had to slot him behind him. Didn't have the pace to go down the straight with him, but still alongside him, but he's got the inside to this corner, he can easily make the move past me, so set him behind Tank. I knew he was a quick driver, he's come from last place and caught up to us, so yeah, felt like if I stick him behind him, I knew the rain was coming soon, so I just wanted to see if he could slow down Specs and maybe try and make a move on him. Anything can happen in these races, so if they do have an incident and collect each other, then that means I can move up in front of them, but you can see at this point I'm being dropped. The Porsches have much better tyre life. Specs' front left isn't as great, but Tank's tyres are incredibly good. He's got really fresh tyres, so I didn't really have the pace to keep up so I just knew I needed to wait it out for the tyre change. So at this point, lap 14, I'm going to pit on this lap just because my tyres are absolutely shredded, but trying to just make it around to the pit window, and here I just go a little bit wide, go into the grass. It's really hard to come out of that without losing a ton of time, so get caught by V-Man. Luckily Angus behind me wasn't close enough to make the next move, but yeah, lost quite a bit of time going to the grass there. Just tyres absolutely shredded and had no grip. As I said, that corner, once you go wide, it's really hard to dig yourself out of that hole. So I knew at this point I needed to pit. We've already had a few rounds of pits coming in. The pit entry there, it's quite a dangerous pit entry. It doesn't seem like it's a hard one, but if you brake a bit late, you're straight into that wall. And it happened a few times, especially in the rain, where a lot of people went into that wall and got damage. Luckily, you're straight into the pit, so you can repair it anyway, but I was always overly cautious there. So yeah, changing the tyres, I ran the fuel tank dry. The GTR's got quite good fuel life, so in latter races this season, I actually make quite good use of the fuel consumption of the GTR. So yeah, coming out back in 10th, a bit of a ways behind specs, but just in front of speed. Got some clean tracks, so I can try and set some laps. So jumping forward up to lap 17, caught the back of specs. Just try to be consistent, try to set some fast laps. And at this point, the rain's coming down pretty heavily actually, so I knew that it's going to be challenging to get back to the pit. Luckily, there was a system where it had a big plot of rain and then it had a little break, so it gave me enough time to try and make it back to the pit. But it does come back in a second, and there it is. So at this point, I just was keeping my eye on the bottom left to see if I made a little mistake there, trying to go off track, but the rain did come down quite hard and quite fast, so at this point it's limp home mode. A few times I've just lost traction. I didn't set the traction control, some other people did, but I forgot about that, so it would have made it a lot easier to come back, but at this point the line on the left is too wet to drive on slick, so it definitely needed to come in. Just saw here that Tank spun around and yeah, rejoins almost in front of me, but it was quite close to being disastrous. So he's gone off, just obviously because the rain got in power too early. But yeah, luckily Ghosting's turned off in these races. I saw that his Bardo's also spun out. He had an unfortunate one. Ghosting is turned off, so you, unlike online races, if someone's slow, it doesn't always ghost them out. So you've really got to be careful when rejoining. Luckily, though, it's got mandatory ghosting that can't be turned off. So at certain speed differentials, it'll just ghost you regardless. So luckily, he ghosted at the last second, which is why I kept it in, but could have easily ended badly there. So I don't know what he was doing, but yeah, coming out onto lap 18, I'm on lenters, just trying to figure out what the grip is like. It was quite difficult on this track at night time and with rain. Nighttime it's difficult to see anything because this track has no lights. You really see nothing. You don't see the apex, you can't see brake markers, so it's quite hard on this track in the rain, in the nighttime. And then add on top of that the rain, it was quite a hard track to master. So coming out, just trying to find the grip, make sure I wasn't going to run off, try to just keep it clean. Slotted it behind Pity here and just trying to catch the pick of them, really. It's a waiting game. The rain does clear eventually. It's just a waiting game to find out when it clears. I did have quite good sense of when to pit to come off inters. There's a little window where the grip is, I'm not sure how many of Paddy, penalty, 3 second penalty, so must have you cut pit lines, which is really easy to do, both inside and outside of the track. Almost went into the back of him there, but I mean he was ghosted out, so it would be fine, but threw me off a little bit. yeah, I had a good sense of when to pit back onto the softs. As I said, the bottom left grip meter, you can see when the icon on the left of the grip meter, when the bar's below that, you can safely drive on slicks. Probably not as quick as inters, so you want to wait a little bit longer, but I was just trying to make sure that I could judge that best and come back out, because there's a lot of time to be made if you're on slicks versus intermediates. And don't recall why I'm on the hazards there. I must have I don't know, honestly, I can't remember. It was a little while ago. There's a reason, obviously, but so you're settling in. The rain's stopped at this point, so the track is drying. So yeah, back in behind specs again. It seems like we're just magnetised to each other this race. And similar to the dry track, I eventually catch him on the wet track and I get stuck behind him again, which was very frustrating for me. I was just wanting to get by this guy and get up the road, but I couldn't. And yeah, at this point I was like, man, I need to get past him. I had a really good run out of that corner. The inside opened up for the next corner, so I had the inside line. But at this point, I really don't know where to brake. It's really difficult, but unfortunately, he leaves the space. But because of the hesitation on that corner, didn't have the speed to get around him, so slotted behind him. That was probably a really good opportunity for me to pass, but couldn't make the stick. So jump forward to lap 20. You can see the track's dried now to probably a good level to come in. I just felt like, though, I needed to make it last a little bit longer. The softs don't last as long, and space opens up here, and because it's on inters, I can make it stick here. He's on the outside, but that point, at that corner, I saw a few times where he just went a little bit wide, and I thought if I could just stick it on the inside, I'd have the line for him. So made it work. I just stuck on the inside and got in front of him for the first time in the race, which I was pretty stoked about. But as you'll see in a second, it unravels for me a little bit. Make a little bit of a mistake. So I come around turn one. As I said, the track is drying, so at this point I knew I'm coming in this lap. The softs last about 7 or 8 laps if you're really conservative, for the GTR at least. But come around this corner, brake a little bit not long enough, too much speed into that corner and go wide, which surrendered 2 positions, which is really annoying. I was a bit upset about that. So yeah, just wanted to make sure I could make it round now to the pits. I did actually think this lap that everybody would pit because the track was beyond dry enough to race on the softs. So I should have actually pitted in the last lap, but as I said, the softs wouldn't last long enough for me at least to run that full 8 laps. So decided to do one more lap around, but I knew that it was good enough right now to run softs. So jumping forward, both of them keep going another lap. I was quite surprised about that. I was actually the first person to make a pit stop. I think I was the only person this lap to come in. Yeah. Oh no, Bardo's come in. So yeah, me and Bardo come in. It was definitely the right call to come in. The track is dry enough, but it seems like we're the only ones that wanted to take that risk. So yeah, coming out, I was very cautious about the pit exit here. As you can see, I just hesitated a little bit with the throttle, but then I found, it's perfect, it's good enough for softs, I can get grip on here. So now at this point, it's about staying off the wet lines. You can see on the track, there's a dry line. It's pretty obvious. You stay off the wet and you'll be fine, which makes overtaking quite hard because you don't have the full track to make moves. You have to stick to the dry line. So what you really need to do is be in a position where you're on the dry line, passing someone, and they get put onto the wet line. But it's quite difficult to do. Most people won't surrender the dry line quite easily. So at this point, I knew I just needed to send it. I needed to make the most of this group. As you can see, the track's completely dry now. There's pretty much no water on the dry line. So I think everybody else made the wrong call not coming in that lap. It was perfectly dry enough to come in for the softs, and I've made the move early. So all I needed to at this point was make as much movement as I can forward, just be as fast as I possibly could to try and catch up and make up the deficit, because that time difference is really what makes the race for you. you can gain a lot of time than people that have just stayed out on the one tyre. So yeah, at this point I was sort of watching the timing tree and trying to make sure that I was consistent, fast, and stayed to the dry line, didn't make any mistakes, braking a little bit at points just to try and stay on the dry line, almost losing it there. Luckily I held it together, and almost going wide there, so I was making a few mistakes just trying to be quick, and noticed as I went around again, the front 3 or 4 didn't come in again, so I was not too sure why. I think V-Man actually planned to stay the rest of the race out on the inters, which that's a bold strategy to try and do, but it can work if your tyres can last, because the time you lose throughout each lap you might make up in pit strategy. So yeah, a few people not coming in, but after I go through all the pits, as you can see, I'm up to 5th, and I'm well clear of Pitmaster, who was in front of me before I went into the pits. So I've gained probably 10-15 seconds in terms of lap time. As you can see, as last lap 2:07, and that was my in lap with the pit. Actually quite similar, so I'll have to see how it plays out. But so yeah, I've gained quite a bit of time. I think he may have actually spun a little bit on the pit entry too, I'm not too sure, but yeah, my strategy worked quite well. I'm not sure how the specs, he got in quite a bit, so yeah, I was pretty shocked to come out in this position, but coming in, Badger's just come in for new tyres now, as I said, quite late. I think could have come in a lot earlier, but he obviously felt like he needed to stay out in the inters. Josh has just come in as well, and V-Man, as I said, V-Man's still out. He's on the inter strategy for the rest of the race. So yeah, at this point I'm just coming out the straight, and I'm looking and I see that Josh is still in the pits, so as he comes out on pit exit, just get past him here into turn 1. So I've made it from 9th or 10th to 4th just from pitting on softs early, which I was pretty happy with. It was the right call to do, but now at this point I just had to stay ahead of him, stay ahead of Josh, and try and maintain the 4th position. I believe that Bob has already pitted, so yeah, it's just about keeping the 4th position. I think at this point I had seen as well that V-Man hadn't pitted, and I wasn't sure what he was doing, but I assumed he was going to, so then I was thinking, okay, this is the 3rd position if I can keep it together. Josh is quite a few seconds behind me, but he is quick, he's a lot quicker than me, as you can see his lap times. He's doing the 47s on the medium, so yeah, just doing my best to try and be fast and consistent, trying to hold it together. Come through lap 25, see V-Man's pitted, and I just got fastest lap, so I knew it was quick. And yeah, I was just doing my best to try and keep the gap in front, make a little bit of a mistake going too deep into turn 1, and it's just reeled Josh in a little bit closer to me. So at this point I'm 5 for a podium, I just need to hold them together, and I've lost half a second going a bit wide at turn 1, so a little bit of mistakes creeping in. I'm just trying to push a little bit too hard and making some mistakes, and that's not really helping the tyres. It's hurting them a lot, quite a lot, making silly moves like that. So I just needed to be fast and consistent, but at this point I was keeping an eye on my mirrors, I was watching behind me, and I was just, making little mistakes here and there, and all that was doing was bringing Josh a lot closer to me. So for the last few laps I just needed to hold it together. Done before the lap, he's quite a lot closer to me now. He's right on my bumper. Go forward to my POV. I could see the light around me, everything. It was all lit up. I knew he was right behind me. Just went a little bit wide into the hairpin here, and that just opened space up for him to get a little bit closer. Now he's right up behind me, and I didn't expect him to make a move coming into these two corners. I thought he was a little bit too far back for it, but the Porsche had a great turn, and so he managed to get up on the inside here and stuck his nose in I gave him the space. I probably could have actually just cut in there. I don't think he had the line there, but I gave him the space and he's just gone through. So at this point, let's make a little bit of contact there. Just as I said, that line, I went a little bit different to everybody else. I seem to always catch them out. At this point, I knew he's got 1 lap fresher tyres than me, or 1 or 2 laps fresher tyres than me. So he's definitely got the speed advantage, and I've just let him through. So I think at this point I knew, unless he's making a big mistake, I'm not really going to have the opportunity to get back in front of him. As you can see, his tyres are extremely fresh. So yeah, I just knew I had to try and stick him behind him. As you see, he just went a little bit slow to that corner. I couldn't make use of the mistake and like give him a little bump, and that really sealed my fate. He was quite far ahead of me. I think he probably could breathe a sigh of relief knowing that I'm not going to catch him. And when you've got no pressure, it's like you to drive consistently. So yeah, unfortunately, if I hadn't made that contact there and sort of held him behind, I might have been able to slide up behind him, maybe even make the move into the next corner. But wasn't to be. He's driving off into the distance, and as he's coming through to the last lap, stayed behind him. He, as I said, drove off into the distance. Couldn't make up to him. He was very quick. So 4th place. I was actually pretty happy with the result, coming from 10th. Did not expect to even be in the top 5, let alone and a chance for the podium. So yeah, pretty happy with that result. Coming off last week's result where I was last place, it was definitely an improvement by quite a lot. So I knew that the practice had paid off. I got quite lucky with the pits, and the swaps back onto the softs helped me a lot for that race. So I knew that my practice had worked out. So going forward into the next races, it was obvious that I just needed to keep practicing like I had, keep doing laps and being consistent, and the results would come to me. So yeah, good race, good result overall. So yeah, but thank you for watching. The next race is the Nürburgring, Green Hell, which I think a lot of people were nervous about. Not many people were confident on that track. So yeah, a decent amount of practice was needed. I wasn't very quick. I knew the track, but I wasn't quick enough to be confident with my race. So yeah, just had to get the laps in and get the times down. So yeah, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the race. I hope you enjoyed the shorter commentary style video, just as someone's rested in the background. Yeah, hopefully that is a bit more enjoyable to watch than just full races with no commentary. And yeah, as I said, leave in previous videos, leave suggestions in the comments, and yeah, I'll do what I can to try and make it more enjoyable to watch. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.